All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here with us this morning. Always like to start these with a little good news, and we have had no pothole complaints in the last week at all. So don't mean to be flippant, but trying to find some humor in what's increasingly becoming a heavy situation for our city and for our state. And so want to share with you some key updates, some very important updates today that you're going to be getting from us. I'll be leading, Jill Franken will follow me, and then Tom Greco, our city clerk, will be batting cleanup there, talking about our city elections that are coming up in just a few weeks. So many folks are continuing to ask me about closures of businesses, and I want to first start with the business, kind of white-collar business side. A lot of people reaching out to me, a lot of people saying, my business is operating in this way. We have too many people in our cubes. We have a small break room, and there's 10 of us in the break room. Mayor, can you call our business? Can you get involved in our business? I don't have the authority to call Joe's call center and tell them to change their business operations. It's just not the mayor's scope of authority. What I can do is continue to preach the message I've been preaching for the last couple weeks and encouraging businesses to act responsibly in that. So again, that message being, if your employees can work remote, let them work remote. If they can't, you need to be adjusting the setup of your business to make sure your employees feel safe coming to work, and that they feel that you're taking the threat of COVID seriously. And there's hand sanitizer everywhere. There's an enhanced pressure to wash hands on a regular basis. There's more disinfectant and cleaning practices that are happening. And so I cannot direct the operations of a business, but I can just share that information with businesses. Likewise, just like no two businesses are the same and respond to this differently, no two states and no two cities are the same. So decisions that we're making right now are being made in our state and in our city based on a number of factors. And that include, what are the powers of the mayor in our form of government? What are the powers of our governor? And what are the powers of the feds in situations like this? I think everyone can agree this is very rare and uncharted territory that we find ourselves in. And so governments are quickly going through civic lessons with constituents, reminding them what our role is and what our role isn't, what we are legally allowed to do. We just heard from the governor that on a press conference that she just had, that she's working on an executive order that she is going to be issuing today that will provide additional clarity for businesses, for municipalities, and for others around the state, other communities, on some of the protocols and procedures that she will be recommending. We're anxiously awaiting that to see what direction that will provide us as municipalities. It's my hope and my desire that we can come up with a unified approach to how we're responding to COVID in our state. There are issues in Beadle County. In fact, the governor said this morning, community spread issues now in Beadle County. Rapid City and Pennington County out there, not the county itself, but Rapid City itself, is taking actions to mandate the closures of entertainment-focused facilities and businesses in their community. And so my concern is, as we get a patchwork of all these localities doing things differently, it's not unified, and it would be very hard to enforce. So for instance, if we do something in Sioux Falls, in the 80 square miles of Sioux Falls, I don't govern I don't govern Harrisburg, Hartford, Renner, Brandon. And so it really loses a lot of the teeth without a more universal approach. So we're really anxious to see what universal mandates we can look at doing if and when we get to that point as a state. I will tell you right now, though, that without a mandate from the state, I have asked our public health director to convene a meeting with our Board of Health to discuss this topic and consider potential actions up to and including the recommendation of closing businesses if the data provided to us supports that. And I'll tell you, the data provides that. As of today, with confirmed community spread now in Beadle County, we're at that point. right? And so I will be making a recommendation from the city to that Board of Health to recommend that they take that step. The Board of Health probably never thought they would find themselves in this situation where they have as much authority as they do in this situation, but they do. I also want our residents to know the buck absolutely does stop with me in the city of Sioux Falls. I'm here to lead. I'm here to make the right decisions. I can control what I can control, and that's the city limits of Sioux Falls. And if the decisions are being asked to be made on a local level on these sorts of things, we'll make them, and we'll figure out a way to make them. And the way we have to work around that right now is through our Board of Health. So they will be meeting at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and that will be my recommendation to them based on what I've seen in Beadle County. I also want to highlight something that is not being talked about, but needs to certainly be addressed when we're talking about public health. And when we take drastic steps to close businesses and for the government to take such a heavy approach, which in my personal philosophical belief is not the role of government to close businesses. But there are drastic times that call for that. When we do that, it creates a whole nother set of public health challenges. So we need to know protecting the public from COVID by taking drastic measures puts people out of work, puts people out of homes, creates food security issues, and creates a whole nother set of public health challenges that we have to deal with. So in some ways, there's a little bit of a swap that we're going to have to deal with public health crises. Either way, we're going to have challenges. And so that's not lost on me. I hope the public realizes that as well. That public health right now is not just COVID. Public health is all the ancillary challenges that are being created from the COVID scare right now. I want you to know that I continue to stay in very close contact with Avera and Sanford. On the other side of that wall is Sanford and Avera clinical leadership that we're meeting with every day, who are helping to guide our decisions. They're part of our incident command team, and they're doing an incredible job providing us the data we need to make really informed decisions right now as a city. Beginning tomorrow, our Chamber of Commerce is going to be taking a more aggressive role, as they have already, but they really have mobilized some great resources for businesses that are going to be affected by this. business@siouxfalls.com is an email that's been stood up. If you have any business-related questions right now, that's going to be a point where you send them to. You have a question: should I close? What about unemployment insurance? When are we going to open again? What resources does the Chamber have? business@siouxfalls.com is a resource you can use. They will be having, I think they're going to be having a press conference tomorrow on this to provide resources to businesses. You can also go to supportsiouxfalls.biz. That's a site that's been set up specifically for businesses to utilize during COVID response time. So look for that tomorrow. I'm going to, at this time, turn it over to Jill Franken, our Public Health Director, to talk about some of the COVID-related public health issues that we've seen in the last 24, 48 hours. Thanks, Jill.
So as Mayor Tenhaken alluded to, I have requested our Board of Health meet tomorrow to review currently available data and to implement further mitigation efforts to prevent the transmission of the virus that causes COVID-19. The actions of this board will certainly, though, be dependent upon the scope of the governor's executive order, which we understand is being issued today. The board may be asked to consider the mandatory closures of nightclubs and bars that do not serve food, video lottery casinos, movie theaters, live performance centers, gyms, fitness centers, bowling alleys, arcades, private social clubs, indoor shopping centers. Dine-in service at restaurants, food courts, and coffee houses will be restricted to carry out and drive-through services only. It is the intent of these actions that we prohibit social gatherings in groups of 10 or more people. That's the intent of the regulation that would be put in place with the approval of the Board of Health. Additionally, the city continues to strongly urge, and the mayor alluded to this, businesses to promote social distancing measures in the workplace There is a tremendous amount of creativity that can be done to ensure that people who can work from home do work from home, as well as reimagining what the workplace looks like and where people are located doing their work. And I urge all businesses to be, if they have not already done so, to be doing so today. All in all, we must continue the practice of social distancing, good hand washing, and good respiratory hygiene. We must take these actions and measures to protect ourselves and those that are most vulnerable in the community. And to underscore that, I just want to draw our attention to the state statistics that just came out this morning. 9 of the state's now 28 confirmed cases of COVID-19 are in people under the age of 40. That's 32% of the cases in the state. So for us to think that this is not impacting younger populations is simply not correct, and everyone needs to be taking this very, very seriously. And that goes for even those that are under 50, because that's 46% of the cases in the state. So it does point to the fact that this is everyone's responsibility. It isn't just those who are at high risk, but it's even those that are low risk from becoming very sick with this illness, to protect everyone who could possibly be heavily impacted by this COVID-19. So I'm encouraging, again, also parents, please keep your students from gathering together. This is the time to be doing things as a family, in your own family unit, and not to be having kids congregating in each other's homes at this time. So please, everyone, follow the advice that's being given to you. The only way we're going to be able to impact this disease and protect the health of our community is that everyone does their part. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Tom Greco, our city clerk.
Good morning, and thank you, Jill and Mayor Tenhaken. My name is Tom Greco. I'm the Sioux Falls City Clerk. I'm also our city election official. We do presently have an election scheduled for April 14th. We're combined with the Sioux Falls School Board. I have asked for state intervention. I believe it's needed to provide for the postponement of the April 14th election. And our council has further recommended that it be combined with the primary election currently scheduled for June. As conditions have evolved, we have taken steps to implement contingency measures to conduct a successful election. However, the surety of poll worker capacity, polling locations, and voter confidence, in my opinion, is at severe risk. Voter participation, with in excess of 125,000 voters in the city, it's an enormous challenge to encourage voter and poll worker participation in light of the most current guidance to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Although encouraged, absentee by mail requests has not increased appreciably over the past week. Poll worker capacity. At least 80% of our 240 plus workers are age 60 or above, and we've learned that there really are no age limits on who this may impact. Although we are actively taking steps to recruit replacement and backup workers, progress is admittedly minimal. Additionally, there will be significant challenges to training a sufficient number of backup or replacement workers. Polling place supplies. Cleaning and disinfecting supplies for our 54 polling locations are already at a scarce volume, given what must be planned for at those polling locations. It's my belief that any such supplies can be best used for other priorities. And polling places. A significant threat to voting is presumed polling place changes up to and including on Election Day. As other jurisdictions in the country have experienced, this could lead to a significant amount of confusion for voters. To provide for the greatest ability to reduce voter confusion and limit the needless use of resources, I further recommend that such relief be provided prior to March 30th, 2020, which is the latest date to begin absentee voting. According to state law, municipalities and the school district shall set the date of their election no later than mid-January. We and the school district have both done that. At this point, we need relief from the date of April 14th that has already been set. As I mentioned earlier, combining with the primary election will be an ideal alternative because any other directed postponements, if those do happen, will be addressed centrally by the appropriate authorities. Lastly, I do want to emphasize the fact that we must continue actively planning for the election. despite my recommendation that I've made and that the council has made. To that end, as I mentioned, we'll continue planning, and I would like to put a call out there. We are in urgent need of replacement and backup poll workers. If you're interested in serving as a poll worker on Election Day, we typically need 3 to 5 people at each polling location on April 14th. If you're interested, please send an email to sfelections@siouxfalls.org. That is the most effective way to communicate with us, and we do look for your support. I'd also ask for our currently scheduled poll workers, if you feel that you cannot, if you know now that you don't want to be a poll worker on April 14th, please contact us and let us know so that we can make appropriate changes. With that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Tenhaken.
Big loop, let's go. We gotta do this. There we go. All right. All right, we'll take any questions that you guys might have on anything that Tom talked about, myself or Jill.
I didn't catch what you said about absentee voting. What was that?
What I had mentioned in particular is that we've been encouraging absentee by mail applications. That requires a qualified voter to fill out a form, attach a copy of their photo ID or get a notarized signature, and send it to their county auditor. We've been pushing that for several weeks now, and what I mentioned specifically is that we have not seen an appreciable increase in the past week since we really started emphasizing it. Absentee by mail is a way to get your ballot delivered to you in the mail. Avoid going to the polling place. We're encouraging folks to do that for this election and possibly even future elections. But we have not seen an uptick in requests.
Follow up with that. Can people still go down to the courthouse and cast their absentee ballot at this time?
Not at this time. That begins next Monday, March 30th. Absentee in-person voting will begin. However, it's typically held in the Minnehaha County Administration Building. We have plans to move it across the street. We'll provide details on that as they become more solidified.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions this morning? Tom's a new guy, so he didn't read those back, but the question was basically, can you absentee at the courthouse? You can't right now. It starts next week. And the other one was, have we seen in-person absentee voting? Yeah, so that was the questions. Other questions? All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good day.